Hello everyone, this is Debbie from Ink and Page, and I'm very happy to welcome you to day 7 of Winter's Heart, which is our 12 Days of Winter Wonder project for 2025. And this is a daily video and printable situation where I send you an email every single day, and then you get the printables, you print them out, and then we put everything together in this video. So if you are new and you would like to join in on this project, just head down in the description below and you can sign up, and I'll send you everything you need and you can get started, and you just can hop back to the beginning of this video's on a playlist. So I will link the playlist in the description below. I think I've not been doing that, but I will, so that you can find the first video very easily. And also, if you could please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and that will help out this channel a little bit, getting us a little bit better visibility and getting more people into our winter project here. So what we're doing is making a journal, and it is called Winter's Heart. And it is just a very pretty, soothing, tranquil, sort of magical, wintry journal here. So lots of candles and flowers and snowflakes and things like that. So that's that. Today we are doing envelopes. So I'm going to quickly flip through this here and give you guys a little look at what is in the kit. So we've got 2 of these kind of big traditional envelopes like this. So one with presents, one with trees. Okay, oh, and coin envelopes. I love these. These are my favorite. So there's 4 of these guys. And then 2 more big ones. I'm trying to cover, I'm hoping this will cover our bases for the journal. It may mean, you may want to add in other like plainer envelopes to do like things where, like, if you want to create flips and stuff with them and you don't want to cover up the image, you can just include a plain one. I have included a plain one in mine, and I'll show you at the end of this video. Okay, so these are the little ones here. There's 2 of these. This is kind of like a more like, this is a little bit bigger than this one. So just a variety of sizes as well for different pockets and stuff like that. And we have these little square ones here. And then I also included 2 background papers in this kit. One is this fun, like, striped dot one, and then more of a calmer floral over here. Both of these papers are in the kit as portrait and landscape. So when I do a patterned paper like this, where you can see there's like a repeat to the pattern, those are really easy for me to do in both versions, but sometimes I will design a paper for a specific aspect ratio, and it's a little harder for me to move those, you know, into both orientations. So when I'm able, I will give you both orientations for these, because I know in this particular kit, I have mixed orientations on how, just depending on how the envelopes fit the best on the paper, you'll have like different orientations. Like the coin envelopes are portrait, while these are landscape. So you may want a landscape print on this one, whereas you may want to have a portrait print on this one. So that's the reason for those guys. And you also have tons of papers from the first day, which is what I actually used on the back of mine. So, because I wanted kind of like watercolory ones. Okay, let me grab my envelopes here, and then we can get started putting these guys together. I think I dropped a card there. Looks like we're starting with coin envelopes, because these guys are on the top. Okay, so these are pretty simple to put together. All we're going to do here is just add a little bit of glue. And you can also use tape for these if you want. They work really well with tape. So, okay. So what we're going to do here is we are just going to fold these together. We're going to glue here and glue under here, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and put my glue down and hope that, oh yeah. Okay. I was worried that the tip might get a little clogged, but not today. Sometimes the first time you use it, it is a little bit more stubborn, but I'm having a lucky glue day. I don't know, is glue better in the winter than it is in the summer? Although I don't know if you could call what we're having in Southern California right now winter. But so there's how that goes together. We have this here. So we have our little flap. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that a few more times. I'm going to fold this side in, add my glue, and then I'm going to just put this one on here. I think I'm going to grab my bone folder just to make this a little bit easier. And then this here. So we have 4 of these guys. I don't know what the ideal number of envelopes for a kit is, to be honest. I don't know if anybody has an opinion about that. You guys can share that with me too. I'm always kind of trying to evaluate and reevaluate what I'm including in my, you know, printable kits, in my freebies, and all that stuff. So I'm always interested in what you guys have to say about what you like, what you want more of, what you don't want at all, stuff like that. Okay, there's that one. All right, and we're on to our last one here. So I'm hoping we're getting a good stock of envelopes here. I accidentally grabbed that card there. So these cards, if you wanted to, you could like do little corner punches or something on these to make them a little bit more festive going into the envelopes. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention about these envelopes is I did try to make them as usable as possible. So I tried to leave you at least a little space on the front to write on if you wanted to use these in gifting, or even just have little labels on them in your journals, because these are actually like super good for storing ephemera in if you want to. Like in the ephemera stash journal that we made, I did use a lot of envelopes as storage in that, and it worked. I think they work out really well to hold ephemera for you in your journal. In addition to, like, if you're going to gift a journal, you can always put little notes and little things in the pockets, and in the pockets, like, you know, envelopes in your pockets for a little fun surprise. Also, these would be super cute in an explosion box, which I'm going to make another one of, but, you know, right now my time is pretty much dedicated to doing this. I didn't actually explain this one to you. So the glue is just going to go on these little 2 areas here, and that's all you really need. And then just try not to get it too close to the edge, because you don't want it to go over into the envelope, and glue your envelope shut. But these would be like really great to hold little tags or circles or stuff like that if you want to store the things that you're going to use to decorate your journal in your journal. Go there. Some of these I did a better job on the fronts than others, but like this one has a little bit of space, but this one's pretty crowded. But, you know, I was trying to strike a balance between, you know, beautifulness and usability. Okay, so these ones go together pretty much the same way as these ones do. You just fold in the 2 flaps, and then you're just going to glue right here. So in this one, though, I am going to put the glue kind of in the middle on either side of here, because I think it's less clear where the glue hits on this type. And then you can always run your bone folder in here to make sure that there's no glue or any contact between the two sides, like the sides of the envelope. I'm just double checking to make sure I'm gluing that together on the right side. Go with that one. I'm just moving through these, huh? All right, now, oh, it looks like we're going to go to the square envelopes. I did put a piece of gold washi tape on here, just so you know. It was on my desk when I was like gluing the envelopes together, and I just couldn't help myself. I had to do it. So I stuck it on there. I just thought it would look cool. So with these envelopes, you always want to make sure that when you close this here up to this top part here, that this here, since it's flush with this here, make sure you can close it before you glue it, because if your fold is off, like, it's very easy for your fold to be off like a very small amount, and then it'll just create enough to cause a problem up here. So I just always make sure that will work. It usually is not a problem, but you know, I just know that sometimes printers will do funny things with sizing, so I always like to mention that with these guys. But otherwise they are pretty easy to put together and very sturdy. All in all, I think the envelopes are pretty easy to put together. There we go. I guess what we're doing here is compartmental making, huh? Because we're doing a different thing every day. And okay, so these ones here, glue's going on these two sides here. And oh, actually, you know what? Let's put the glue here and here, because I just realized these don't come all the way up, so you don't want to over glue. I like to live on the edge sometimes, but I think it's always better to play safe with glue. Also, sometimes, like, when you have spent, like, I don't know how long it took me to prep for this video. I always listen to something while I prep for a video, so I always enjoy doing it, because it's like crafting and then, you know, listening to a book or a podcast. But like, I always think, like, after I've spent so much time cutting something out and then inking it and all of that, I don't want to mess it up, you know, because I've already invested a bunch of time into it. Okay, all right, so look at that. We got all of these guys in there. And then what I'm going to do now is talk about a couple things in your journals when it comes to using envelopes. Hopefully my envelopes will dry while they're sitting here, and I did want to do a couple of things here. So the first thing is, oops, upside down. I bound envelopes into my journal. I'm looking for, okay, so here's one of them. So here's one of the envelopes, and then when you do that, what happens is you end up on the other side of it. I just gotta find the other side. You end up with like a little flap. And what I thought would be fun for the flap was to add like clusters like these into them, so that these would actually be like flippable pages on the envelope tabs. So that's one of the things that I wanted to show you guys today. So what I want to do here with this one is I'm going to use the strips, the washi strips that were in yesterday's kit, to extend this a little bit to fit this on here, so that I can have like a cluster page, and so then I'll have to also decorate the back of it. So this is one like fun way you could use your envelopes. And you could, if you had a normal kit, like when you get the whole thing together, not like when you're doing an event like this, you could take one of these and bind it in if you wanted, so that so that you could do this with one of the kit envelopes as well, if you don't want to do it with just a plain white one, you know? So basically what I wanted to do today was kind of like just do an example of how to turn this flap. Or you could use, oh, you know what? The other thing you could do is you could use a tag to do this as well. And you could have a flippable tag, which is actually, I really love this idea, which I didn't think of it ahead of time. I'm looking for another tag that's that size. Here we go. This one doesn't have anything on the back, so it would be good. This one has a journaling space on the back of it. So I think I'm going to have to pick, okay. So I'm not going to do that tab because I want to do that one for the cluster. But what I could do with this one, and there's one in this signature too. If only I could find it. Where is it? That was comically difficult for me to find. Okay, so if I were to put these onto the flap, I now have like a tag that is part of my journal. And if you didn't want to use one of your like pre-decorated tags here, you could use you could just use this as a template to cut it out of like normal paper if you wanted to have like normal paper here instead of like a decorated tag. Or you could cut it out of like lined paper so you could have a picture on the front and then you could have a journaling space on the back. And then you would have these beautiful illustrations right here, but still have a place to write in the middle that isn't like actually on top of these pages. So I know that a lot of you don't like to cover up the illustrations. I don't always mind. Sometimes I don't want to cover them up though. I totally understand that. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use these two here, and then I'm just going to glue these together on this tab right here, and then I will have this become like a separate tag page, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to do the first one, and then I will do the second one. Okay, so I'm going to glue here on the back of this really well. Okay, and then I'm just going to lay this one down here, kind of where I want it to go. And I'm going to put this on, just like that. Oops, what did I do with the other one that I had? Oh, there it is. Okay. And then I'm going to put glue. I'm just going to put a little extra glue on here, and then I'll also put glue all over the back of this one. And then we'll just line them up. Oops, I want to make sure that I... get those. If you put a, like, I want to make sure I have enough glue on here that when I put these together, I'm going to have like a second to kind of just make sure they're in the right place. You know what I mean? And then what you can do here is, if you don't want to have a raw edge here, we could put like a little trim or something like that. I'm going to make you guys some trim in one of these days. I have to look at my list. Boy, I have been so consumed with doing this project that the other day I did not realize that it was Friday yesterday. I was like, what? It's Friday? Like, I had no idea what day of the week it was. Because, like, basically, all I've been doing is Winter Wonder. Like, that's with all my time. Like, usually I have a routine for my week because I'm, you know, doing a kit to release on Friday or Saturday. So I usually do know what day of the week it is. But, okay, so that's one example of how you can use your envelopes that you've bound into your journal, right? And then I'm going to go back to this one here and just really quickly put together a little situation so that, I can put this tag on here in a way that I like. I do really love this pattern. I think what I might do with this though is go ahead and punch the top of it, maybe the bottom of it too, so that it looks like they look symmetrical, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna grab this punch here. This is the one I was looking for, because I was looking for one that wasn't gonna take too much off the length. I do have this cutting board. I'm gonna cut that off right there. Okay, my little notch is down. All right, there we go. My paper cutter cuts slightly off the guide wire. And so I always end up with this weird little extra edge on there. Okay, there's that. Okay, so now I have kind of like more of a fancier edge on there, so I can add this onto that and then work my little cluster onto this. So I may just cut this piece off. I need something else though here, so we're going to take a look at what else we've got here. I do like this pattern a lot too. And I think this ties these two together, you know, like it automatically looks better. All right, I'm going to do a different edge on the top of this one here. I'm going to look and see what I've got. I was hoping my pinking shears were in here. I think they are. Because this is a fun edge. I like this little, that type of edge on there. Okay, I'm going to ink this guy to just give me some contrast here. I can put my inker in here. And then flip it over and just do this end. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead, and I hope you guys can see this okay with this here in my journal. All right, so I'm going to put this one all the way down to the bottom here because this envelope is bound all the way down towards the bottom. So let's glue this one to this side here. This is going to drive me crazy if I don't trim this. Because this will form... This could be seen from the other side. You know, this is why, like, sometimes this is one of the reasons why I like to double-side. I know we had a discussion about that the other night, but, you know, I don't always know what you're going to be able to see or not see. So that's why I like to put something on the back. But this is a good candidate for the back because it's kind of a light color. I always like to go lighter on my back pieces than on my front. Okay, so now that that's on there, I'm going to take this piece here. I'm just going to get my placement down on this. I need to shorten this. This is like the fun part, you know, like where you get to like kind of create little spots in your journal that are like unique and special. And I like making these little like unexpected pages that aren't like technically like normal pages. It just makes it a little bit more fun. And I would have to imagine that somebody who is not a journaler themselves, they would have a lot of fun going through a journal that has like unconventional things in it. Okay, so I'm going to get that one there. And then we'll just put our whole cluster right on there. This is one of the ones we made yesterday. And when I was like making this, I totally had like, this is what I wanted to do with it, you know? So my biggest goal here is making sure that this piece right here doesn't run into my spine. Does that look, it looks a little bit crooked. Okay. And now we have just like a whole myriad of textures and like shapes. We have all different shapes here, and we have different styles of prints too as well. Oops, I got a little glue on there. Now I have to think about, okay, so this I'm going to cut, but I have to think about, okay, what am I going to put on, what do I want to have on the back of this, you know? Make sure that doesn't interfere flipping. Okay, so let's take a look quickly at our scraps here, and where's my scrap bin here? Oh, there it is. Okay, so now I've got this, so I could go, I have these pieces. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just fold this to give myself a line to cut on here. Okay, there we go. I did pull it up a little bit when I cut it, but it should be fine. All right, so now I know what I'm doing on the back here. And so I can utilize, there's some script on this one. So I can just kind of figure out what do I want to have on this side. All right, let's take a quick look at this. I have a couple of different pieces here. And then the other thing that I was thinking is, see here. So I've got either that or this. Ooh, that would be a good contrast, right? This plus this. So what I'm going to do here with these ones is I'm going to go ahead and glue these together just to kind of form myself a solid piece. And then I can just cut that solid piece down to fit on the envelope piece there. Okay, let's go ahead and glue this. And this is what, if you have scraps that you've cut off of things too, you can do the same thing with those. You can just glue them together in a line like this, and you can make yourself a whole new piece of paper with just different like strips of things, you know? Okay, so now I've got this here. So let me take a look. Okay, so I do have some cute little pieces from yesterday. So all I need to do now is just pick out what I want to go on here. I have a piece of this in here that's quite long. That might work. Okay. This is the kind of thing that I'm looking for. I'm just looking for, a couple of pieces of, let's do let it snow. All right, let's take a look at how we've got here, what we've got here, and like how we can arrange it. Because I kind of want this to be about the same size as this, but I do really like how this blue paper looks here. All right, so I'm going to cut that. Across right here. There we go. That's just so I know how high my length is. Length, yeah. Okay, so, and I can save that piece for something else. Okay, so this is going to go on the back of this, and so this is what it will look like coming through on the other side, which is fine. It'll have this nice little blue thing, and I think I might go ahead and punch the top of this with something else so that we have like a different pattern. So let's try this one. I hope this will work with the glue in the middle. We'll see. Oh, it sure did. Okay, so I'm going to do both sides of this. Okay, so now you're only going to see it right there, but I think that's perfect. Should I do it on the bottom too? Oh, that's good. I think we're in good shape here. All right, so let's turn this into something. All right, so we're going to use this because I'm going to use Let It Snow on here. And then I just need another little something to go on here. You know what would be cute? I was just thinking this. Let's see. I think there is a snowflake on one of these. All right, so let's do... Yeah, I don't think this is as good of a color match. I'm hoping one of these will look better. There we go. I need to see if I can find I must have a snowflake die, right? That's one of those things that I must have. So hopefully I can find that, and then I can incorporate some actual real snowflakes into my journal. But this is like just a quick example of, you know, if you put an envelope tab into your journal like this, what you can do with it once you have it. You can use your clusters or whatever. And then I will continue to like incorporate the envelopes that we made today into projects for the future, so that, you know, everything gradually becomes, you know, incorporated into the journal by the end. All right, so okay, I'm going to start by gluing this little snow stuff down. And, okay, so we put that down like so. And then I'm just going to put my little circles down behind it. I'll put like my little snowy house, and then my little snowflake. And you know what might look really cute is if I had a little bit of thread to go behind these guys. Right, so I'm just going to add a little bit of this kind of neutral color behind them, just to add a little bit of extra texture to this. You could use anything. You could use a little bit of mummy cloth or muslin or lace or whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is. It just helps to give it that little bit of extra lift, you know? I'm going to also put it on the back of here. Then we can do these ones. Okay. I should have probably put it behind the other ones too, huh? It's just nice to have those little extra bits and pieces, you know what I mean? Okay, that looks good. And then we'll do this one really quick. And then we'll do this one down here. There we go. And then if I manage to find some snowflakes I can die cut, I'll do that too. Okay, so I'm going to move this back over here, and then we're just going to take a look at how it's going to fit in here. And I think what I'm going to need to do is put one more little strip of paper, because I made my things overhang. But fortunately, I have a lot of strips of paper, so this will not be a problem. I'm just going to get this down. This is kind of like what happens, right? You start doing a project, and then it gradually expands as you're doing it. Also, this would benefit from maybe a little bit of a darker color with it. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm just going to add this on here. Flip this over. I should have gotten rid of those, huh? All right, then I'm going to add this to here. Okay, so what I want to do is glue that just so these overhang into where the purple is. Okay, so this is just going to butt right up onto that. And then I will do a little quick picking shear situation here with this. And then glue that in right here. And then I have a fun little flip here that is comprised of a lot of glue, but okay, so here we go. So what I'm going to do here is just put glue all over this here, a little bit down here, and a little bit up here. Because, so these things kind of start to come together right here as like one piece. And then hopefully that will be a good example too of like literally what we did here was glue a lot of strips of paper together. So that's like a good scrap project too if you have any extra borders and stuff. I do have a bunch of extra borders from printing the envelopes tonight, and so I'm going to cut those up and incorporate those into a couple of our next projects. Just as examples of how you could use stuff up. I think this turned out really nice. I might put a little piece of washi behind this right here, but that's about it. It makes me feel happy when I see it. So that's how I know it's done. All right. So, okay, so I hope this was a helpful demonstration of how you can use envelopes in your journal. I will continue to incorporate these into our journals as we progress with our projects. And we will make them into like functional pieces as well as little storage pockets and little, you know, just little things that we can, you know, put in our journal, because you want to have things in, you want to have things that are in layers, right? So like you want to put this, you want to have a pocket, then you have an envelope, then you can open the envelope and what's inside the envelope, you know, so it's just layers and layers of unfolding in your journal. Okay. So that, I think, will do it for me today, but I will be back tomorrow with another fun project, and we will continue to just kind of work on our journals and add in all of the stuff that we are making. So I will see you then, and in the meantime, I hope you have a good time making your envelopes.